Good afternoon and welcome to the Eagles Sports Update. I'm Derek Maselli.
And I'm Jillian Seach, and here is your sports news.
We begin with news from the dugout. The softball team closed out its opening weekend at the Trojan Invitational with a 3-1 loss to Evansville. Elaine Whitbeck scored for Eastern Michigan. But the teams entered the fifth inning tied 1-1. It was here that a double to center field gave Evansville a 2-1 lead and ended the day for sophomore pitcher Trisha Trujillo, who pitched 5 strikeouts and gave up 2 runs. Junior Abby Binkser entered the game as relief and gave up 1 more run in the 6th. The team has dropped 5 straight to start the season, but can turn things around this Friday when it competes in the Madeira Beach Invitational.
The Eastern Michigan University men's basketball team got revenge on Kent State University in a 75-70 win at the Convocation Center this past Saturday afternoon. As a team, EMU shot 43.5% from the floor while only hitting 1 3-point attempt all game. Eastern knocked down the first bucket of the game, but from there struggled to get anything going offensively. KSU scored the next 7 points to take a 7-2 advantage early on. After the second media timeout, EMU trailed 12-10. Eastern made a comeback and took the lead with free throws and an Azzoni fast break dunk. After trading buckets, EMU scored the next 6 points to open up a 20-14 lead midway through the half. Kent State knocked down the next 2 buckets, but EMU answered back, going on an 11-2 run. Down the stretch of the first half, Eastern held its largest lead of the game, at that point 31-20. The Eagles failed to score in the last 4 minutes, but held KSU to only 3 points, taking a 31-23 lead into the half. Through the opening minutes of the second half, EMU maintained a steady 6 to 8 point lead. At the first media timeout, the green and white led 41-33. From there, KSU began to claw their way back into the contest, outscoring EMU 9-4 over the next stretch, to only trail 45-42 at the next media timeout. Eastern handled the adversity, though, scoring 7 of the next 9 to retake a 57-53 lead. After a huge dunk from Lee put EMU up 59-53. KSU called a timeout with just under 6 minutes to play in the game. EMU maintained a 61-56 lead coming out of the final media timeout. Kent State got within 4 points with around 3 minutes to play, but EMU extended it back to double digits with just under a minute left. Despite Kent hitting a pair of 3-pointers and getting the lead back down to 73-70 with 5 seconds to go, Tony hit 2 clutch free throws to secure the 75-70 victory. Eastern will head to Athens, Ohio tonight for their final cross-divisional contest with Ohio University. Tip-off from the OU Convocation Center is set for 7 p.m.
The women's team, fresh off their 70-46 smackdown of Miami, is set to do battle with the Bulls of Buffalo tomorrow night. The Eagles currently boast a record of 15-8, 6-6 in conference play, and have bested Buffalo once already this season. However, the Bulls are entering the contest with some confidence following an upset over Bowling Green this past weekend. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m.
A trio of personal bests led the Eastern Michigan University men's swimming and diving team to a strong showing on day 1 of the Ohio State Invitational this past Saturday. Junior Kevin Moore finished in 6th place with a personal best time of 45.9 in the 100 freestyle. 9 career best times and a 2nd place finish by sophomore Hunter Cook highlighted day 2 of the Invitational. Cook led the way for the Eagles, finishing 2nd in the 200 butterfly with a career best time of 1 minute 51.50. In a highly competitive 200 freestyle, the Eagles swept 4 of the top 5 spots in the B final. Now the Eagles turn their attention to the Mid-American Conference Championships that will take place March 2nd through the 5th. The Green and White are set to host this season's event after winning the MAC a season ago.
The gymnastics squad broke yet another record this season in a tri-meet win over Bowling Green and Southeast Missouri State. For the first time in program history, the Green and White scored a 96.6, which broke the previous record set last Monday at Michigan. Eastern went 6 for 6 on the bars, with every gymnast scoring at least a 9.7. Next, the rotation of Natalie Gervais, Lacey Rubin, Megan Holtgren, and Kendall Valentin led a record-breaking rotation on the beam, notching a score of 49.275. This was followed by a groundbreaking effort on the floor as the team notched a 49.225. Lastly, Eastern finished the vault with an event score of 49.15, hence solidifying the historic finish. The squad returns to action this Friday for a contest at the Convo against Western Michigan. The event is set to start at 6:30 p.m.
We'll be right back after the break with more sports talk with Derek Maselli and Al Wellman.
So I tried logging into my .emish account and it wouldn't let me in. So I went down to the help desk and they said I had already changed my password. No I didn't. Shortly after that, my apartment was broken into. Yeah, if you put 2 and 2 together, you know where they go, my address. They got my password, got onto my .emish account, and stole my class schedule and my home address. They knew when I wasn't gonna be home. I should have known that a password of ABCD1234 isn't too hard to guess. Now, I'm more careful about choosing a password. I take a word that's 8 to 10 letters long that isn't too personal to me, and I change some characters around. For example, the word college, C-O-L-L-E-G-E. I can change the L's to 7s and the E's to question marks. Don't use college, okay? You have passwords for a reason. Take the time to make one that is unique and easy for you to remember, yet hard for someone else to figure out. My name is Daniel, and I'm trying to be safe.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned with us. We're going to talk a little bit about some gymnastics. Yeah, we were supposed to have a special guest today. Unfortunately, some life happened and he couldn't make it in. So we're punting in the world of sports talk. But gymnastics, 3 records, 3 meets.
Yes.
We're up to 11-2 overall, and they're undefeated in MAC competition.
Yes.
That's
most
really impressive.
It is.
I'm just looking at these scores, looking at the vault, which seems to be Eastern's strong suit this year. You've got gymnasts like Lacey Rubin having a stellar year.
Sure.
Kendall Valentin, who's at the top of the stat sheets, it seems like every meet. And this is a team that you're not going to hear much about outside of probably, unless you follow religiously the EMU Athletics website, or some stuff in the Echo, and they do a good job of covering it. But you're not going to hear about it much other places.
No.
So, I mean, looking at that as a successful team like that, Derek, what do you think of the season they're having so far?
Well, they are on the verge of the top 25 bubble. They are right there. I believe they were number 23 in the country at one point earlier this season,
Yes,
and then they
correct.
dropped off a bit. But there's a reason for that, and it's these outstanding individual efforts. Again, you've broken 3 records now in 3 events, back to back to back, and that's most impressive. But you're right. Gymnastics is not known as being a revenue sport necessarily, so it doesn't get a lot of attention. And there are a lot of programs here that are like that as well, that do quite well, regardless of whether they get media attention or not. I think it would be cool if more students did show up to those. Like we said, coming up this Friday at the Convocation Center, Wednesday, 6:30, they'll face Western Michigan. Looking forward to that one. MAC play is always competitive,
Yes.
Regardless. And so, yes, I believe Rachel Slocum as well actually earned MAC Specialist of the Week.
Yep, right before
this
we went on
week.
the air, yep.
Yes, right before we went on the air. And so they're a team that I think, if you call yourself a fan of Eastern Michigan athletics, you should follow very closely throughout this season.
Absolutely. And just looking through, I had talked to their coach right before the season started. So right before we took a break for Christmas, he came on the show and was very excited about where the direction the team looked to be heading in as the season was getting ready to start. And I was optimistic too about it, looking at it. And obviously, I don't think anybody expected a season like this, to where you get into MAC play and you're undefeated going into pretty much the final month and a half of the season.
Now, this is not the first time in recent years, though, that they've made top 25 or they've made a top 25 ranking. I believe it was last year or the year before. They were number 24 at one point, and then they dropped off as the season progressed.
For about a week and a half.
But they're always, they've been fairly strong these past few seasons, really. They're right on the verge, again, of those national rankings. and so definitely worth watching.
Absolutely. A couple more teams. I think we have a little more time left to talk
Sure.
about. Women's basketball.
Yes.
I was walking through the student center yesterday. Yesterday being Monday, for those of you who might be watching later in the week. But as part of the Bernie Sanders coming to the convocation center,
Which I was there.
Yep.
Yes. It was interesting.
At about lunchtime, I noticed the women's basketball coaching staff was in the student center doing a film study. Which, I mean, that's pretty much where the story ends. It's a fun little anecdote.
It is.
But they're having a good year. So it doesn't matter, I guess, where they study their film. They're doing something right.
Sure.
Coming off, a big win.
Yes, it was 76 to 40 or something, 70 to 46, something like that.
Yeah,
I wrote the story. I don't remember the score, but hey.
Yeah.
It was a decisive victory.
Right. You've got players, like Shea Sweeney coming up, and I think we've run out of superlatives to talk about Shea Sweeney with.
Well, most of these players on the team, and you can drop just about any name, and there are several players on the team that we've even thought could be professional players. Not to put too much pressure or spotlight on them, but I think if you watch the team, you can see that there are a lot of playmakers out there on the court, and
Yes.
they're a very fun team to watch. And again, they're in action tomorrow night at Buffalo, 7 o'clock.
And that's going to be a pretty crucial game, I think.
Sure.
If you look at the direction the season's going in, I think 15-8 now.
And they're 6-6 in conference
Yeah.
play is the huge thing. I believe they would take the 7 seed spot right now. If the tournament started today, they would be a 7 seed.
Right, and this is kind of a crucial turning point as far as the conference season goes. Having a potential to get back above 500 in conference play. And I think to make a good push once the tournament comes around. Right now, obviously, like you said, a 7 seed if the season ended today.
And many would argue that they would be underseeded.
Oh, absolutely. And I think
Given what we
talent-wise,
saw in non-conference play.
Exactly. And I think it's a point where I can make a pretty reasonable prediction,
Yeah.
looking at the way they've played so far and the way things are going, that I see the regular season ending with Eastern as conservatively a 4 seed. Obviously, it would take a few more wins to make that happen, but I think this team's the one that can do it. Give them a good position to go into the MAC tournament with, and even, who knows, they make a run and win the MAC.
Well, anything can happen, right?
Year.
And it's easier, though, if you're a higher seed. And so
It is.
everyone battles out. That's what conference play is for, getting that more favorable seed.
Exactly. Obviously, if they win the conference or something like that, they wind up with a double bye or something, in the regular season going into the
Yeah, I
tournament.
don't know, because the MAC tournament has been changing recently. And I don't know if the women's is the same as it was last year or if men's is even, for that matter. We'll have to look in, because I heard at the beginning of the season they were looking at some changes for the tournament format. I think getting rid of the double bye, actually.
We'll get more into that
Sure.
as the season progresses, as we get closer to the end of the regular season. Nice accolade for Tori Verdi, head women's basketball
Yes.
coach. Just today was announced as an entrant into the Fairhaven, Connecticut Hall of Fame. He's from Connecticut. That's where he's obviously born and raised, and got his start. And he's had a good run, not even just with Eastern, though he has done well here.
Quite.
As an assistant at Kansas, got recognition for that too. So congratulations to Coach Verdi on that. Let's switch gears quickly to men's basketball.
Okay, yes.
Still 2 wins in a row, which is a good turning point for them to
Especially given that they shot so abysmally early on.
Yeah.
From 3-point range, especially in that game, that they were still able to come away with a win. Because I think as a whole, they still shot over 40%, 43 maybe. And 40%, they say, is roughly the threshold at which you would say good or decent shooting versus poor shooting. Anything over 40%, you say you did all right. Anything under is questionable.
Right, and making 1 3-pointer in the entire game is something that's, you get a little nervous about. But you've got guys, and again, another one that we can't say enough things about is James Thompson, who day in and day out will notch a double-double. I mean, you can almost set your clock by that now. I said a few weeks ago that this team has plateaued. I still think that's true. I stand by it. Even though they've won a couple of games in a row,
Right. Still trailing in it'll be interesting to see how the conference record ends this season.
Right.
Last season, again, they finished 8-10 while having a 21-win season. Will they be able to right the ship, so to speak? You know, we've all seen the interview. We've all seen what Rob Murphy has to say about the media, and you know, people are watching now. The media is watching now. It'll be interesting to see how they respond to that, and if they come out and if they flop in conference play again, or if they can finish strong here to go hard in the fourth quarter, as they say, and you know, make a run in that tournament. And plenty of time still. So.
Absolutely, and it's definitely time for this team to put its money where its mouth is. You know, like you said, we're watching. We're paying close attention because it's basically the fourth quarter of the season, as you aptly put.
Just about.
It's time for it to be, you know, gut check time, not just okay, we're going to win 2 games, we're going to slack off again and lose 3 or 4 in a row. Right. You know, and I've seen that happen in the past.
So the inconsistencies.
Yeah, and it's been trouble. So we'll see if they can put all that together and come up with something. So I don't know. We'll see. They play tonight.
Yes.
That's going to be an interesting game.
I believe
to watch.
Is it 7:30?
7:30 start at the Ohio University Convocation Center. Ohio's, you know, they're not one of the best teams, you know, that they're going to play the rest of the year.
No, but it's a team that you should beat. And one thing that we often see about teams, well, one thing that is often said about teams that are decent but not great, is that they will often get hyped up for games that are against bigger, better opponents, and they'll play very well. But then against teams that are comparable or slightly below, they'll come out flat. They don't have the energy. They don't have the consistency, right? Right. The ability to not just have the emotional investment, but to go out there and just go to work. And so it'll be interesting to see they stack up, you know, fairly evenly as far as numbers go with Ohio. And so it would be a good win if they could pull that out. And I'll admit, I was very worried after the Ball State game and the subsequent hangover that left to the absolute thrashing from Kent State. They've rebounded from that now. They go back and they defeat Kent State by 5.
Yep.
Can you take it? Can you maintain that now?
And that's the big point.
Yes.
You know, you've got a win against Central Michigan. That's no slouch in the MAC. You've got the revenge win against Kent State.
Yes.
And now, can you stretch that out?
String something together. It is, all right, often to have another cliche almost. It's winning teams have losing streaks. Losing teams have win streaks.
Exactly.
So can they
turn into a winning streak? And
yes, and can they keep it?
Yep, because 2 games does not a winning streak make. So we're looking at 3 and above. And so now here's the gut check. It's time to put up a shot. And I'm kind of repeating myself now. But here it is. Let's go. Let's play, and we'll see what happens.
So if I may inquire now, what position do you think is they're going? It's a question of depth is what I'm getting at.
Sure.
Realistically speaking, do you feel that this team has enough depth in all of the positions to be able to make a run down the stretch? And say they do get hot, we've seen what happens. Do they have the depth at various positions to win, say, a MAC championship? For example, we witnessed, was it at Ball State, when several players started to foul out. We saw 3 guards on the floor with 1 forward, and so what do you think about that?
I know that's
I didn't phrase that in the best way,
but I think I know where you're going with that, and it's a concern that I've had for most of the season, really. The depth I don't think is there. I really don't. I think that you get guys like James Thompson and Ty Toney, or Willie Mangum. They get into foul trouble, or Nazione gets into foul trouble. You're in trouble.
Yeah.
And you got guys coming off the bench who, yes, they might be slow, they might be small and fast. Not slow. My apologies.
The guards are typically quick. It's just the size.
But you don't have any depth, any size down low.
Yeah, and that's one thing I noticed. That once Thompson gets into foul trouble, things get tricky because you have to start throwing other guys in there. And Jordan Nobles and Brown, they're tactically very good. I think defensively, they're excellent when they're put down there in the paint in that sort of center type role. But the team does lack size.
and that's going to be the issue moving forward. But we'll see what happens tonight. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy your break. And as the saying goes, enjoy your Netflix and chill, but actually chill this time.
Yes, you stay classy, Ypsilanti.
Thank you for watching. Enjoy your break, and have a good one. We'll see you when we come back. Thanks for watching. I'm Al Willman.
I'm Derek Maselli.
And that's it.